Welcome to the ultimate quick start guide to the carnivore diet. I'm going straight to the essentials in this video, no unnecessary extras. This is everything that you need to thrive in your first few weeks on carnivore. Hi, I'm Sue and I've been following this way of eating for 3 years. This is the video that I wish that I had seen before I started. It's information that will set you up for long-term success. The carnivore diet focuses on animal-based nutrition, which means eating meat, seafood, eggs, butter, and for some, dairy. So let's dive in. Carnivore usually starts as a higher fat, moderate protein way of eating, and over time you can adjust your ratios to find out what works best for your body. But a common starting point is 70% fat and 30% protein. Tracking macros is simple but important, especially initially, so that you begin to get some understanding of what's on your plate. There are quite a few free apps that you can use to track your food, but the most popular are Carb Manager, which is my personal choice, and Chronometer. It's important to know how much fat you're consuming, but also to focus on hitting your daily protein minimum. There are several ways to calculate your ideal protein intake. Just make sure you're getting enough to support your body's needs. To determine my daily protein intake, I use a simple formula of 1 gram of protein per pound of ideal body weight. Since my ideal weight is around 140 pounds, that means that I aim for at least 140 grams of protein per day. Your ideal protein intake may be different, but the key is to consistently hit your minimum daily requirement. This helps provide what your body needs to build and repair. It keeps muscle on your body and keeps you feeling and looking your best. When it comes to cooking oils and fats, be sure to choose wisely. Stick to animal-based fats only. That means butter, bacon grease, lards, and tallow. Eliminate all vegetable and seed oils. If it's not an animal product, leave it out. The carnivore diet is an animal-based diet, and the strictest versions don't include plants. There are other versions. For example, you might have heard of the popular meat and fruit diet, but that falls under animal or meat-based eating, not true carnivore. There is also the living carnivore diet, which includes fermented foods such as sauerkraut and kimchi. If ferments aren't your thing, stick with the stricter version of carnivore, which is usually only animal products. That said, some carnivores still use herbs and spices like garlic powder and onion powder, salt and pepper. It really depends on your individual sensitivities and what you're trying to achieve. Always check ingredient labels to avoid unwanted additives, as many spice blends and rubs contain things like sugar. Many carnivores also continue to drink coffee, and that's a personal choice. At this stage, the most important thing is to keep your food animal-based. If you choose to have coffee or use a little garlic powder, it's not a major concern. Before getting started, there are a few key things that I would suggest that you do. When you first start on carnivore, the first thing that I recommend is taking your baseline weight and at least a few key measurements. At a minimum, measure your chest and your waist and your hips. Take photographs in your undies from the front, the back and the sides so that you have a starting point for comparison. Often the scales don't change, but your body does. If you're into tracking data and have some extra time, I highly suggest getting a baseline DEXA scan if you can, and it's also a really great idea to get blood work done. I wish I'd done these things myself. Next, I recommend clearing out your pantry and your fridge of any non-carnivore foods. I know this might be tough if you have others in the household not following the same diet, but I suggest getting rid of anything that's a temptation. If you love ice cream, cookies or Doritos, it's best to remove them from the house to avoid the urge. I also recommend doing carnivore alongside your partner or anyone you live with if possible, though it's not a must. Having someone else eating the same way really does make it a lot easier. Now, before you get started, get to the grocery store. Buy plenty of animal foods, all the ones that you really like, if you can. If you love ribeye, buy plenty of that. At a minimum, I suggest stocking up on pastured eggs and ground beef. You might also want to pick up some chicken and pork and definitely grass-fed butter and maybe some bacon. But remember, you don't have to eat everything. If you don't eat beef or pork or a certain meat and it doesn't sit well with you, or if you're not a fan of eggs, for example, that's perfectly fine. The carnivore diet should be tailored to your preferences, tastes, and your budget. And speaking of budget, when it comes to saving money on meat, a great strategy is to head to the grocery store and look for discounted meat that needs to be sold by that day. Sometimes you'll find meat at 50% off or more. And if you can find out the days and times when they mark down the meat at your grocery store, it can really pay off to be there about that time. It's a great tip for getting cheaper meat. So now that you've cleared out your pantry and done your grocery shopping and snagged some bargains, it's time for meal prep. You can do boiled eggs or cold roast meat or even cooked bacon. They're a great idea to keep in the fridge and have on hand if you feel like snacking or get hungry between meals. The need to snack usually goes away pretty quickly on carnivore, but if you're used to snacking all day, it can take time to get out of that habit. Make sure to plan ahead and have your carnivore meals ready to go, no matter where you are. Don't give yourself the opportunity for an excuse to eat off plan. Finally, when you start your first day on carnivore, eat until you are comfortably stuffed. What that means is that you've eaten enough that if you have another bite, it's going to make you feel uncomfortably full. Do the same at every meal after that. Just listen to your body and enjoy it. What you'll usually find is that you can go longer between meals, and after a while, 1 or 2 meals a day is usually all you'll need. But do note that for some of us, and this happened to me, if we've been eating a vegan or a vegetarian diet in particular for a long time, then we might just get really hungry when we start eating a carnivore diet. And this is because your body is basically starving for nutrients. And so once you start giving your body what it wants and what it needs, it's going to ramp up your appetite to get more of that into your body. The best and the easiest way to manage this is to just eat as much as you need to feel satisfied. This can sometimes last for a few months, and often weight is gained, but it will generally come off again once things settle down. If this is the case, try not to pay too much attention to the scales, as you may also be gaining muscle and bone density at this time. I gained about 8 kilos when I first started on carnivore, and yet my clothes got looser and my body shape changed for the better. Your body is an amazing thing and it knows what it's doing. Give yourself at least a few months to transition and get used to this way of eating before you start to focus on weight loss, if that is indeed your goal. Carnivore is primarily a healing diet, and the healing process can look different than what you might expect. Now let's talk about other things that you might face in the first few months on carnivore. In the beginning, you may experience carb withdrawal, or what's commonly known as keto flu. Symptoms can include fatigue, diarrhea, constipation, restlessness, low energy, anxiety, and a few other things. Keto flu happens because your body is shifting from using glucose as its main fuel source to burning ketones. It can take a few weeks for your body to adjust, but don't worry, it's completely normal. You can ease the worst of these symptoms by using a good quality salt and some sort of electrolytes. There are tons of brands available, but the one I personally used is Trace Sea Minerals, which are a liquid mineral product made from concentrated seawater. So it not only contains the major minerals that most electrolyte brands use, but also the trace minerals, hence the name. It's a really good product and I found it really helped a lot. I'll link to that below the video, and you can use my discount code SUW15 to get 15% off. Using some form of electrolytes can really be beneficial for the first couple of months in particular. I used them for quite a long time, and I still do sometimes. But these days I tend to just mostly pop some Celtic sea salt under my tongue if I'm feeling a bit fatigued, and I find that really helps. For most people, the keto flu lasts about 2 or 3 weeks, and its severity can vary. Some people might not experience any symptoms at all, others can be totally miserable. We're all different. In fact, we're so different that some people get bored with eating meat. Not me, but I do know that it happens. Apparently, it passes, but the best way to handle it is just to fast until you're hungry enough that the meat is appealing once again. I suggest committing to at least 30 days on the carnivore diet. That's what I did, and so much changed in that time that I'm still here 3 years later. And I'm certain that I'll never go back to eating the way I used to. Start with 30 days and see how you feel. After that, you can reevaluate and decide whether to extend it. It's often around the 90-day mark when you'll really start to see the benefits of carnivore. During the first 30 days, do try to be strict. Avoid fruits and vegetables and grains, alcohol, processed foods, and sugar. Stick to carnivore foods as much as possible. The stricter you are in the beginning, the easier it will be to get over the sugar cravings and carb withdrawals. If you keep feeding that sugar addiction, you'll never get rid of it. So that's pretty much it for this video. I hope that it helps you to get started in the first month or two. When I started 3 years ago, I thought I'd give it 30 days, and I was skeptical. I didn't believe that meat was the answer to my health problems. But here I am. This was me back in 2022, and this is me today. There's a big difference, as you can see, and at 61 years old, I continue to feel better, healthier, stronger, and more stable every day. So I will sing it from the rooftops. Try carnivore. You don't know what you're missing out on if you don't give it a go. If you have any questions or comments, please put them below. And if you like this video, make sure to subscribe. I thank you for watching, and I will talk to you another day. Goodbye for now.